So I'm back here talking to you about some of the experiences. Last 2 times I came to Bangalore, it's all for Agile India, and I was talking about practices. But today I'm not going to talk about practices, I'm going to talk about something different, something very close to me, this topic, because this is what me, my co-founder and my team talking about this topic every single day these days, because we are currently standing in a point or in an edge that we are really transforming into a total different way of doing engineering. And we are going to witness that, we are going to co-create it, because we want to win this new paradigm of doing software engineering. So this is what I'm going to talk about. But before I start, I want you to do one thing. And can you take a few moments or 2 minutes to think about a capability that you have today which you didn't have 1 year back when you think of 2024 March, and just write it down. Capability is not a certification. Let's say it could be anything. Let's say today I can do archery, which I couldn't do 1 year back. Today I can cook, which I couldn't do 1 year back. Or today I can do deployment, which I didn't do 1 year back because I was a product owner. Or today I'm a developer, but I was just a project manager 1 year back. So whatever a new capability what you have today which you didn't have 1 year back, could you please write it down, because we will need it. And make sure it is something you can talk about, okay? It's okay even if you don't find anything, that is totally fine. That will tell you something. Are you done? Anything came to your mind? You're done. Of course. So then we will keep it aside and let's start talking about the topic. So let me take you to 2001. We have heard this story like we heard Cinderella story so many times, right? So these brilliant people got together in Salt Lake City. They had one problem, that is what we all face. The way we were doing software engineering that time was not right. So we had to find something better, something more efficient, something that is really suitable to the fast moving industry, to make sure that we really satisfy these business requirements. And so they got together and they formed Agile Alliance. This became a big change in our industry. So this was a total new shift, a new paradigm change by that time. We got into so many different practices like Scrum, Kanban, whatever you call it. And we all did software development in certain way before, but we transformed the whole way of doing it into this new way. And this found lot of answers to many questions that we had, many problems we face, especially as software developers or product owners or even businesses. How we did software completely changed with this movement, this Agile Alliance movement. And then what happened? Everything was like all these practices, we would started to talk about these practices like Scrum, Agile, Kanban. We were like arguing and we were talking. I can remember even Agile India conference back then. We were talking about like, should we do two-week sprints or 1 week sprint? Should we just do the stand-up meeting or we should do sit-down meetings? And there's like so much of discussions, open space discussions went into this area, even about like, yeah, there's so much of things that we discussed about software engineering practices by that time, what's going on there. So even we were talking about certain small things like how we should do continuous deployment, continuous delivery. So things like this, we spend quite a lot of time talking about. And I think it's very fair to call it the golden era of software engineering practices when you really look back, because that was just a boom in the industry. You could really imagine, even I was speaking to a few people today, that time how big the Agile India conference was, like 1,500, 1,600 people. So it was like a full awakening. But then what happened during this whole time? If we say in 2001, the Agile Alliance was formed, and so we started talking about practices, and like any other thing, the people got adapted. I think in 2006, we got into the cloud transformation, and that really helped to enrich some of our practices like DevOps and all. And then we had around in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, 12, the SAFe came into picture. So, but after that, now we are in 2025. If you look at innovation, nothing much happened after that actually. We have been improvising and we have been really making things better and better every day. But when it comes to the big innovation of Agile, nothing much happened during this time. So we have been very complacent, we have been happy, we have been still practicing 2-week sprints and everyday Scrum, and so we have been doing fine. Then boom, you know what? The way we've been building software just isn't working for us. We got to come up with new way of building with AI. So this is where we stand today. Now, again, we are facing the same question that we faced 20 years back. And so we need to again find a new way of doing things. So today we have now a new paradigm of software engineering. We are opening up again, and we need to just walk in there. So the people, now all of a sudden when we wake up, there's vibe coders. So who are they? Because people from my generation, they think you can't write software if you don't know, if you have not read clean code. But how about these guys who had no idea, but building $1 million systems, products today without having any understanding? So I totally believe with the changes happening today, we need a new philosophy. We need a new philosophy of building software in a different way and using AI, and we need to use our human judgment to make things happen with AI. So it may not need 2-week sprints for sure. It may not need daily stand-ups. It will not have months and months of waiting time to get a delivery, the releases of MVP. It will take days. So we need to be ready with our mind. We have to have a very open mind, making sure that we are thriving in this new era of software engineering with the new philosophy and with the total new understanding. So if you really look at, this is Stripe annual letter, you may have seen this, right? If you look at the SaaS time, some top 100 successful companies, the $5 million mark, they took 37 months to achieve. But if you look at AI startups now achieving 24 months or even lesser when it comes to $5 million mark. Because this is all about the speed. New game is all about the speed. We need to be ready on how to achieve this speed. And this is again from Y Combinator. And so what one of these episodes of a podcast, what they said was, 2 months is good for you to launch your product, but 2 weeks is better. So this is where we are really heading now. We don't have months, we don't have weeks to talk about zeroth sprint. We have to really move fast to win this game. So I'm sure some of you may follow this Litecoin podcast. So this episode is pretty interesting. This is really nice podcast. Just watch it if you don't. Why I say that is, it's a very casual conversation, but you end up having a lot of thoughts about, oh my God, what's going to be the future? And you tend to think a lot after listening to these conversations. So these guys are talking about why code is the future in this specific episode. They talked about a lot of issues as well, not only the hype, but how about you do vibe coding, you get a product out, but now the product is scaling like to thousands of users. But how about the architecture? How about the structure of this code? What you will do if you don't understand what's really happening behind the code? So that's where that as software developers, now we need to be ready how we can really have our models, have our ways of thinking to answer these questions. So if you really look at Agile, now if it's iterative, incremental, still it's valid. But now it's like we need Agile in steroids, right? To get this pushed in 2 weeks or 2 months. So there are a lot of shifts happening in the industry. Actually, I went through Agile India schedule, the speaker schedule for a few years now. And you can see if you go through that, actually this shift is happening even without considering it cautiously. Because we are moving from how to what. Remember that era I was talking about, the golden era of software engineering practices. So there that our whole focus was how to do that, how to do the sprint, how to do the clean code, how to do the test-driven development, how to achieve 80% of test coverage. But now everything is moving towards what we should do to make this $5 million mark in 2 months or 2 years. So this is how we are thinking now. The what becomes more important than how. And software as a service. We used to think software as a service from the time that we started cloud in 2006. But now everybody thinks service as a software. It's not nice to call it service, it's intelligence, so we will say agent as a software. Because that we can always imagine and think when you look at a service, how an agent is going to do this job in a different way. So that focus and our understanding is shifting towards how to get agents to do these things. And different roles and skills. You know, in our teams, we had Scrum Masters, we have product owners, we have developer, we have QA. Of course, we call it a multifunctional team, but in the end of the day, we all had these roles. But we see now it going through a great consolidation. So a person who has the product idea, who knows the requirement of the industry, should be able to just sit, use AI, get this done, and deploy and make a product out of it. So we see as developers, we need to have totally different new skills now if we want to be successful as a developer in the future, because we have to understand the product now. We have to understand what we build, not only how we build. So that will have a great emphasis when it comes to the great consolidation. And the team scaling. Earlier, we used to scale the team to 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 pretty quickly when the product is growing. But now, as most this new thinking comes into play, what they say is 20 people team is a very good team for even for a larger product company, because we want to work more AI and less human. So that is another shift. And also we used to focus so much on measures in output, right? So we were talking about number of user stories and the user story velocity and how much test coverage we used to deliver. So we were always measuring the outputs. Now we measure the impact. So I'm sure some of you have been in yesterday's keynote. It was really great because he was talking about how to measure the impact. So this is where the industry is moving on. So the impact of the product and how we deliver for the impact is what we need to measure in the future. And also, we used to do so much sprint-based planning, but in the future, what we are going towards is the hyper engineering. So we don't need sprints. We just want to sit, code, and make sure that this is delivered. And yeah, so to make this happen, we have to keep all eyes on speed and growth. Speed, speed, speed is our new mantra. So growth isn't just a sales and marketing problem anymore in product companies. Growth is a developer problem. So the developers do work to make the business grow. So that is where the new focus is going to be for all developers. Think of this. This is the current product development life cycle we practice, right? We discover, validate, build, launch and scale, and we go in iteration. So software companies like Avantude, how we thought of it is, now we have to cut this off. We have to make sure that we need to shorten this. We have to get our product MVP going so fast within a week or two. To do that, of course, we need this vibe coding and all this AI help and also use templates. So what we do is we now visualize, improvise, code, launch, test within very short time using all these new practices. And we get the product out to the market. We have helped so many startups in the last few months to get their product launched in this model. And then when that scales, with at the moment, the AI models that what we have to help our development are not pretty good in reasoning and doing complex architecture. So it's little messy here. So when it's scaling, we need to get our excellent architects and our engineers mindset into how to get the architecture right and revamp these products that we develop and test it in the market. So it goes in weeks, but they are still, at this moment, we just go through the normal structuring cycle with the software architects. So as a company, what we did was we had to rebuild our developer skills to get this going. So again, I'm saying this is as at today, but tomorrow, in another 1 year's time, this could completely change because we are in that kind of rapid changing phase. So what we do now is we have the human capability, the people in the middle, of course, they are the focus, and then we have AI capability of third-party services that we use to fast-track our development, and then we have our multi-agent platforms that we are developing to do certain work, and also certain existing components that we can use to fast-track our development. And also we use Agile, but with lots of data and automation of the process, even creating the backlog, creating the user journeys using AI to fast-track it. So this is how we build the skills in the organization at this moment to support our engineering process. But I did a really funny thing yesterday, and I thought to tell you about that. So I was having an idea because I wanted to see how this video commerce work, and I wanted to do a soap advertisement, and so there that I wanted people to ask questions from this advertisement when the advertisement is playing, and for the advertisement to automatically customized for the questions that they ask and give a different kind of a video answering their questions, and then you should be able to order the product if you like. So it's kind of a new way of thinking about video commerce. So I was just typing in few few AI tools using the prompt that I want to get this done. And so what are the kind of products available like that in the market? Then it did a complete good analysis, actually, all these tools, and then it asked a question. Are you just curious or you want to build this? For fun, I said, I want to build this. Then it created a really great scenario analysis, and it gives me idea how it works technically, and high-level existing solution analysis it gave. And also, it identified the core components, and it gave an amazing usage flow, actually very close to a usage flow a good BA could write about it if I have explained. And then it gave me the tech stack suggestion, what should be the front end, what should be the back end, and how this whole thing should be technically done. And also it gave you some UX ideas and prototype steps, system architecture in detail, speed up suggestions to use tools. If you want to speed up it further, you can use these third-party components. And also it asked whether I need to spin up a starter template. There I stopped it. And then I thought, okay, I will ask this question. I asked, like, in 1 year, how do you help me to solve this same problem? Then it said, like, because it's evolving capacity and evolving capability, so 1 year I should be able to completely replace one full stack developer, one designer, one copywriter, and one product strategist. Then I kept on asking that same question from different tools. Actually, it was quite similar. Then I kept on asking about 2 years. You can do it by yourself, and you can see what we are really heading into. Because today I was talking about when we do the MVP, when we do vibe coding, people ask, how are you going to scale with this? This is a mess. But because we are looking at it from today's architecture, we are looking at it from today's development principles. But in the future, because still we are in baby steps here, right? In the future, when it comes to this vibe coding and all these kind of ways of doing the software faster, the new infrastructure will emerge. New architecture patterns will emerge to support that. So you may not need to really worry about what's the architecture or the infrastructure to support this. So all these things are happening right now. So we need to see what skills that we need to have in order to thrive through these changes. So that's where that we really need to be open now. The time is over that we were really blindly believing certain principles, certain practices. We have to be open-minded. And so when this happens, Scrum, Agile, Sprints, Jira boards, stand-ups mostly will be obsolete. We have to accept that. New philosophy of building that aligns with how AI thinks, work and scale, agent-oriented, goal-driven engineering will emerge. So why? Actually, when I talked about these agile practices, especially Scrum, it really solved one big problem we faced that time. That is the human problem, right? So if you really looked at our software development, if you take 5 engineers from India, you can take 5 brilliant guys from India, 5 brilliant guys from Sri Lanka, 5 brilliant guys from Australia, 5 brilliant guys from Norway, but you put them together in one room to build a simple system. It's a chaos, right? It never happens. So it's the difficulty that we solved with these practices. It brought a lot of answers to these human complexities and how we work together. But now our focus can be shifted, because now our biggest problem will not be how these humans going to be interacted, how we interact with AI. So that is where we need to find solutions to these new challenges that what we are going to do. So when you think about, how am I with the time? So when we think about this new way of thinking, we have to think about outcome-driven objectives. So it is all about how we, let's say as an example, optimize this product onboarding to increase conversions by 15%. So that is our outcome. So how we bring that outcome in front and making sure that the system really respond to that to create that outcome. So that is how we need to think, and intent-based engineering is becoming extremely important, and it's like steering a living system. So that's what I'm saying. Think about this as you are co-engineering, you are not really automating. So that's when you can really get the maximum out of this new AI capabilities. And also continuous autonomous delivery. So think about micro deliveries, tiny deliveries happening all the time without having to collect so many features and now we deliver together and all feature-wise delivery. So we keep on delivering, and also auto-run A/B tests and all that, and feedback loops will come automatically, change things, and human taste and judgment would be the key for all of us. That's what I say. These different skills that we need to have is extremely important going forward. We cannot just be developer, we cannot just be a product owner, we cannot just be a scrum master, we cannot just be a project manager. We need to have these consolidated skills in ourselves to win this whole new era of software engineering. Our judgment and our taste would be the final skill that we need to have when the AI is capable of doing how part and also giving us so many different choices to select from. So that is where our winning strategy would be. So always as humans, now whenever we talked about this AI, we were talking about like, will it take my job away? Will it give a lot of employment away? But because as humans, we always think very much, we overrate the risk in a situation, but we undermine the opportunity, right? But think about the opportunity that this can come with it. And we all can develop quite a number of products, platforms within very short time, and we can be like superhumans because we can have so many different products as agencies. And so we can do quite a lot of things within very short time. So when I was talking about this graph before about SaaS companies and AI companies, how within how within 2 weeks to 2 months, how people come with product launches. People ask me, Thushara, how about work-life balance? How about well-being? How much they work to get these products out within just 2 weeks or 2 months? What kind of a work model they had? So imagine if AI can do all these things for us, here comes the work-life balance for us. Here comes that employee well-being. So we can have our time to do a lot of things that we really love to do. At the moment, we just do because we have to do it, right? So think of the opportunity it creates rather thinking about the risk and being worried. So the moment your eyes are on an opportunity, you can always win that. So if you always think about the risk, you're always negative and you're thinking how to survive, not how to thrive. So how to thrive is what you really need to think as developers now in this new paradigm of changes. And okay, somebody gave me this advice some time back, which I will share with you. This is the best advice I've ever got in my life. And said, don't ever think career as a ladder. Because the moment we think career as a ladder, what happens? We become like associate software engineer, senior software engineer, what else? Senior software engineer and senior software engineer, architect, or associate architect, and that's the path we have to take, right? Because it's really great for companies to have employees just going and climbing the ladder. But instead of that, thinking of your career or your life as a smartphone and imagine in a smartphone, if you want Uber, you just download it, right? If you want book a doctor, you download that app. If you want to find some research paper, you download that research app. So likewise, you download all what you need to your smartphone. Just like that, you can get all the capabilities you need to your life. It doesn't need to be if you are a software engineer, just software, next certification of software engineering related subject. Just do whatever you like, and if you want to have finance knowledge, just understand that subject and get that knowledge into your life. So getting all these different kind of multiple skills into your life will really help you survive in the future. Because as I said, it is all about great consolidation. So definitely you need to have multiple skills, more than one skill, to be a capable human. And also, this has really worked for me. I will share that with you. But I think this is more relevant now than how when I started doing that. So this is about pivoting your career. So if you start your career and you remember the day you joined your new job, and after a certain time, you become very comfortable about it, right? And so now you know how to write your code, you know how to do the test, and so every day you are doing similar kind of things, you are very comfortable. But that's the moment you have to think, I need to pivot now. If not, if you are lucky, you will go as that same person forever for a few years. If not, you will really derail and you lose your opportunity in the industry, and also you may lose your skills, the capabilities as you go along, doing the same thing again and again and being very comfortable and not being energetic to find something new. But if you pivot, let's say you come to that pivot, you become very comfortable of something, and it depends on what's the angle you pivot, right? Let's say you are a software engineer and now you want to be a CFO in a big bank. So the pivot angle is so high, then the risk becomes extremely high. But if you want to pivot it, like, okay, if you are a software engineer now, that you want to do something like a product owner, and you want to understand the business. So the pivot angle will not be that high as before, but the risk is lower. So it's up to each person. Of course, I'm a person who pivot really high, very often than I should, but that really keeps you really rising above the normal standards, and also you can really achieve great things when you pivot as much as possible. So, lot of people ask me, Thushara, that they used to ask me, if you pivot, like this, if you keep on pivoting your career or your skills like this, you will never be better at anything. And so you will just do many different things. Could be, but in the same time, I have one question. How long? What's the time period you want to be better at something? It's not as much as you think, right? There's really great experiment on this, but I think I don't have much time to talk about it. But if you can really think how you shorten the time to learn something, practice it, and be good at it, you can make your pivot cycle much shorter and you can start pivoting. So if you really look at the time back then, if you think pivoting in that way, that today in the this AI era, pivoting has been really, really helpful for so many people. And so it will be helpful for you going forward if you start pivoting and getting new skills to your life. So that's about what I want to tell you today. So think positive, pivot, get a lot of different skills to your life as developers. So that is when you can thrive in this new AI era. So your thinking, your judgment, your taste would be the biggest skills that you will have. When AI take over how to do things, when you have to only do what you should do is to think what would really bring right to this business, what is the right product to develop. So I hope that this was useful. So why I ask you to write one skill that or one capability that you gained this year compared to last year. Anyone who like to share if they have anything? Okay, great.
ops and things like that. So kind of looking into observability, how things are done in the AI world, right? So kind of equipping myself in that area.
Okay, right.
From DevOps, machine learning operations, right? LLM ops is little different. How things have to be done, right? I've been exploring that.
Anyone else? Got any new capability this year? Great.
You see a lot of companies right now want to do their IPO. ITGC compliances is the one of the biggest things that they have to be norm on their change management process. So for traditional companies, change management or to be ITGC compliances to have these incorporated in their change management system in PTLC cycle was very tough. But being automation, being having continuous CI/CD, this helped me to achieve that change management process within the year. That's big change.
You asked whether the change management process has been changed.
The whole change management process to be ITGC.
I think it's a very good question, yes. Because what I see in a large organization like that, still they would call it change management, and because they will plan it like we need to absorb this kind of skills and we need to address our employees' concerns this way and all that, because that's needed, because there are a lot of unions, they're like how if AI comes, are you going to fire all the employees? So all these questions will come in naturally, right? But I think those organizations, if I'm to answer your question right, yes, we'll think a lot about how this change management should happen. Maybe they will fast track it than before, but they will follow it with a bit of a step-by-step approach. But if it comes to our side of the business, like startups and scale-ups, of course, there will be no that much of focus. We will expect everybody to just get up in the morning, and now you guys are different creatures that you will just get going with this. So because we don't have time to sit back and turn and think, okay, this is how we are going to really do the change management with our employees. But what we do is every day we keep feeding about these resources, about thinking, the podcast, and especially this Y Combinator podcast. I'm a big fan of it because that is very thought-provoking. So you keep on feeding this kind of understanding and ideas to people, so they keep changing as well, because most of the time these startups and scale-ups that people are pretty young, right? And so they get these new ideas and they can change faster than compared to some very large conservative organizations. Okay, coming back to, I think my time is over, coming back to why I said to write down one skill is because most of us, when we think of your kids, right, when they go to grade 1, they get this much of books and you just wonder whether they can even finish reading them by end of the year. You get worried, right? These tiny tots, how are they really going to absorb all that? But you will be like really surprised, like when it comes to October, they all done with it and they have absorbed all, they have learned so fast. But as adults, what do? We just live with what we know. Our way of absorbing new skills is extremely slow unless we are outliers. So that's what I'm saying, that's what I told you, that write one capability we have today. So next year when you think, if you remember this event and you think back, you will really think, okay, I have achieved a new capability this year. So because it will always work in your mind and you will think about a new capability to achieve. So please go ahead and just learn something new, have a new capability to your life. Either it could be sports, it could be hobbies, it could be cooking, it could be even something related to your job. So it will always make you win, make you going in this new era of AI. So thank you so much. And if you have any other questions, just talk to me outside the.
Thank you, Thushara. I think it's pretty. Yeah, we do have time for questions. Thushara,
Okay. All right. Sure.
so, does anyone have any questions for Thushara?
I was just thinking about your point about the new capability, and I was working for a fintech startup last year, and they wanted somebody to build stuff with Power BI, so I had to learn that. And being as old as I am and my brain not terribly plastic, because I'm learning German and that's very difficult, much harder than when I was younger, trying to learn a new tool becomes harder the older you get. But I learned Power BI by using ChatGPT to teach me what to do, because I'd done some LinkedIn generic courses about this is how Power BI works, but that didn't actually help me in my context of this is the data, this is the problem to solve. So I used AI to teach me the tool, the problem to solve, and then ended up building reports faster. So I not only learned the tool, but was able to learn it quicker because AI helped me out.
Could you please?
So that's kind of just an observation for me as to how I'm learning in a different way because AI is now here. And rather than the difficulty of when I was younger, like being a software engineer, learning new programming skills now that I'm older, is harder. I've now got AI to help me out to still be effective, and to guide me on that journey. It's very interesting how that shift is happening. Just an observation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So basically, he's sharing his experience.
Yeah.
He has actually helped him.
Hey, Thushara, thanks for the interesting thoughts. I can see your points. I'm a great advocate for incremental iterative development, fast flow teams, so on and so forth. But I see that trend is changing as you talked. But one thing I struggle to understand with as AI takes over, bits and bits, and the team dynamics may change or already changing. Where do you see, or what do you see as the intellectual property or the business intelligence in this? Because the agent bots, buddies you use, I also use. They spit out, same artifacts. So where do you see that now lives?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I think this is something that everybody talk about today. What is the IP in this case? Because if AI is doing everything. So there's different ways to think about it. Of course, what is IP is like, if it is your business knowledge and how you do that and how you really integrate with your AI component, you can think differently. If you are really having like a algorithm or something that you have written for yourself and you have the proprietary rights on that, so you can always have it to yourself and as far as you do everything else using AI. But this is a question I think nobody has a real answer yet, because everybody is thinking, because now even if you really look at DeepSeek, that things are becoming open source, what OpenAI kept for themselves, right? So this will evolve throughout this journey. We are still learning how we can really make it happen. But at the moment, I think with the current AI, that most the business logic and these trade secrets, we have our own rug, that how we do things and how we improve how our models really react with our own business requirements. So that's for us. But in the future, yeah, we don't know how we to do that.
Hi, Thushara, thank you. Fantastic talk. So here's the thing. I mean, since AI has been picking up, a lot of organizations, the messaging from leadership is start using AI. And it's just that, like, just figure out what you can do with AI, see how you can achieve efficiency, and then just go after it, right? What I'm observing is different roles tend to use AI in their own, for their own work, like product managers will use it, architects will use it, engineers will use it. The coherence is missing, like, because it's a very narrow sort of view, each person using, and I mean, that's true for anything, but essentially you're using AI with a very specific objective, and the pieces are all there, but somehow when you try to put the whole thing end to end, it doesn't feel like a continuous story, so
I get that, because maybe you feel that because we are still in the very early stage of adapting these AI capabilities. If you look at, but there is another part to this, commercial part, the licensing of AI tools. So when that comes to picture, as an example in our organization, we can't say everybody do whatever the AI you want, because there is a huge licensing cost, right? So then we have selected certain tools for certain roles, like product managers, the developers, what they should use, and the testers, what they should use. And so we have made that whole AI stack, we call AI stack, for the organization. And also if you look at any other organization like a bank or so, that how different roles use different kind of AI models. So that has been there. But how you see that at the moment is because the organizations who are trying to get in there, okay, use AI, cut off 50% time or 30% time. Yes, that's happening. I can see that. But all these things should happen for us to really be good at it, right?
One sort of follow-up question. Now, each model specializes in a certain kind of activity, right? Like deep thinking, maybe programming, and that, and like you have specialized models for that. When these enterprise sort of solutions come into place, different vendors and different models coming together might still be a challenge. I mean, I know it's very early. Maybe it will.
Yeah, it's been one day, but not yet.
Yeah. So I think, with the enterprise solution, like we do have an enterprise solution right now. It's still not working. So that's,
because we all, what we need to understand is we all are in very early stage of this whole transformation. We all have a lot of assumptions and thinking, like the 1 year, 2 year answers I gave you, right? So we all need to learn from this, but it will be a little bit of messy, I understand, compared to the structured way of how we did things, but this will evolve. We will get adapted to that, and we will, even our thinking process will change. It will not be same structured agile way how we really looked at, but all these new thinking, new ways of working will change us as well.
Thank you.
One of the things, at least in the large enterprise, 40,000 engineers that I've been kind of helping with, there's been a gold rush again to try and leverage AI as much as possible. And there's an inherent belief that this is going to make you more productive, right? And surely we see the glimpse of it, we can kind of feel that. But are you aware of any systematic study that has been done at a large scale, which actually proves that there is real end-to-end productivity that people are able to gain? I mean, certainly you can see productivity gains happening at individual levels, right? But holistically, is there any studies that you're aware which shows like end-to-end cycle time for organizations or time to market has drastically gone down?
Not yet. Not yet in the development space, not yet. But in other spaces like in promotions, the banking, those studies are there by some big consultancies. But I was also searching for exactly what you asked, that end-to-end, how much productivity we have improved. I have not seen a single study, but I have seen some studies about the developer productivity from Copilot and Amazon. And also we have experienced by our own when it comes to the initial stage of product launch, from end to end, from requirement ideation to the deployment, we have actually cut off more than 50% of the time that was really taken there. But that's a very small experiment, but in large scale now.
So I've been interacting with the folks at Microsoft, and they talk a lot about productivity gain. You actually study how they measure that. It's through hackathons and stuff like that. It's not a
exactly.
real world experience, so it seems quite.
Yeah, because we are still getting there. But there was a good. Like, sales market. Sales marketing side, there's quite a number of articles I found about the improvements of productivity, efficiency, and the conversion rates. Yeah. Ah, totally agree.
Any other questions? Last question.
Hi. We are seeing the AI is going to fast forward things by, say, maybe 100%, 100x, right? But is the real world consumers ready to go in that pace to consume whatever we put out? I mean, as I say, it's going to impact the entire life cycle of a product, right? And are we ready to consume those at that pace?
Yeah, actually there is, because even the consumer behavior and how we think as people, the general public also changing at the same speed what we see. Because if you really look at this area, there are quite a number of product companies that who have proven that consumer products and also some technical products, that when they really came into the market, how soon the consumers managed to grab that, and also how soon they really scaled it up to this $1 million. So things are changing. It's something like this. I was really thinking about this. Now, when the iPad came in, right, we all got used to the iPad, this touch, which we never ever thought of before. And I can really remember when I was boarded to Qatar Airways that time, I was like trying to touch the screen and it was not working, and I was so annoyed, because when we see all these changes happening and when we feel it in our day-to-day life, because AI, the change that AI brings is very different to anything else. As general public, as normal people, we will experience AI every single day in our normal life. So we will expect it from all the products, all the services that we consume also to really grow in that phase. So then our expectations will be different. So I'm sure that we are getting ready there, and yes, there are companies who are really going in that speed and phase.
Yeah, in fact, I think when GPT came out, we started using it, and now we expect every interaction to be just like that, right? Like, to the extent that Google was forced to also, add the whole AI suggestion right in there, right? Like, so I think the expectation from consumers can evolve quite rapidly, in my opinion. I mean, we've seen this. Right. Okay, I think, thank you, Thushara. That was really good. Great way to kickstart today.